The security line froze. A woman screamed, "Someone took my son." Passengers scattered. Alarms buzzed. Security rushed in. And in the middle of the chaos, a woman sat on the ground, holding a crying boy's hand. "I'm not your mom," she whispered, "but I won't let go until she comes back." 30 minutes later, she was being escorted past the boarding gates straight into the VIP lounge. And the woman who called her there? Who was she really? Anna Carter had learned to expect the unexpected when it came to air travel. 2 missed flights already that morning, the first because she'd chosen to drive her elderly neighbor to the emergency room instead of catching her 6 a.m. departure. A decision that cost her a day of travel but saved someone's dignity when they needed it most. Now it was 2:15 p.m., and she found herself slouched in one of those unforgiving airport chairs at Gate B7, nursing lukewarm coffee and thumbing through a dog-eared paperback she'd read twice before. The terminal hummed with typical airport energy. Passengers hunched over phones, families arguing over boarding procedures, business travelers guarding power outlets like territorial animals. Airports had a way of bringing out people's survival instincts, every person for themselves, which made what happened next even more telling. The sound cut through the ambient noise like a knife, a child's distressed crying, raw and desperate. Anna looked up from her book to see a little boy, no older than 5, standing alone near the vending machines. His small frame shook with each sob, his face flushed and streaked with tears. He wore a bright green jacket that seemed too big for him and clutched a small stuffed elephant against his chest. People noticed. Of course they did. Heads turned, conversations paused. A few passengers exchanged concerned glances. Someone muttered, "Where are his parents?" Another person pulled out their phone, probably to record rather than help. But no one moved. Anna closed her book and stood up. She approached slowly, crouching down to his eye level when she got close. "Hey there, sweetheart. Are you okay?" The boy looked up at her with wide, frightened eyes and took a step back. "It's all right," Anna said, keeping her voice gentle and calm. "I'm Anna. I'm not going to touch you or take you anywhere, okay? I just want to make sure you're safe." He didn't respond, just wiped his runny nose with his sleeve and continued to sniffle. Anna glanced around the gate area, scanning for any sign of frantic parents or concerned relatives. Nothing. She pulled out her phone, ready to call security, but then made a different choice. She sat down cross-legged on the cold terminal floor, positioning herself close enough to offer comfort but far enough away to avoid frightening him further. "We're going to wait right here together," she told him. "And I promise I'll stay with you until your mom or dad comes back, okay?" For the first time, the boy's crying began to quiet. It took nearly 15 minutes for security to arrive, alerted by a well-intentioned passenger who reported seeing a strange woman with an unaccompanied child. The officer, a middle-aged man with kind eyes but a serious demeanor, approached Anna first. "Ma'am, I need you to stand up slowly." Anna complied immediately, raising her hands slightly. "Of course, officer, but I want you to know I'm not with this child. I found him here crying and alone. I was waiting for someone to help." The little boy, who had been sitting on the floor near her, suddenly grabbed onto her pant leg, his small fingers clutching the fabric tightly. "What's your name, son?" the officer asked the child gently. Silence. A second security officer arrived, and Anna could feel the atmosphere shift. Other passengers had gathered at a respectful distance, some openly staring, others pretending to look at their phones while clearly eavesdropping. Anna remained calm, though her heart was racing. "I understand how this must look, but I want to help in any way I can." She offered her driver's license and explained everything. Where she'd been sitting, how she'd noticed the crying child, how long she'd been with him. "I couldn't just walk away and leave him alone." The officers checked the terminal security cameras, confirming her account. The tension began to ease slightly. Then, cutting through the murmur of the crowd, came an announcement over the airport's PA system. "Attention passengers. If anyone has seen a 5-year-old boy wearing a green jacket, please notify airport staff immediately. This is an urgent request." Moments later, a woman came running through the terminal corridors. Her hair was disheveled, her face streaked with tears, Her breathing labored from obvious panic and exertion. The little boy saw her first. "Mama!" he cried out, his voice cracking with relief. He ran to her on unsteady legs, and she swept him up in her arms, both of them sobbing. She held him so tightly it seemed she might never let go again. The security officers visibly relaxed. Several passengers began to clap. Anna just exhaled deeply, feeling the weight of the situation finally lift from her shoulders. Anna returned to her seat, emotionally drained but relieved. She watched as the mother and child were taken aside for what she assumed would be routine paperwork and incident reports. A happy ending, she thought. Time to get back to her book and wait for her rescheduled flight. She was wrong. 10 minutes later, a man in an impeccably tailored suit approached her chair. Everything about him suggested authority, from his confident stride to the small gold pin on his lapel that she didn't recognize but somehow looked important. "Miss Carter." His voice was professional, but warm. Anna looked up, surprised. "Yes? I'm going to need you to come with me, please." Her stomach dropped. "I'm sorry, is there a problem? I thought everything was resolved with the security incident." The man smiled, and something in his expression put her at ease. "No problem at all, ma'am. You've been requested in our VIP lounge." Anna blinked. "I think there's been a mistake. I'm flying standby on the cheapest ticket possible. I don't have access to any VIP lounges." "You do now," he said simply. Anna followed him through the busy terminal, past the usual chaos of delayed flights and frustrated travelers, through a set of elegant glass doors she'd never noticed before. The VIP lounge was a different world. Entirely soft jazz playing quietly, comfortable leather seating, arranged in intimate conversation areas, floor-to-ceiling windows offering a panoramic view of the runway. The lighting was warm and flattering, nothing like the harsh fluorescence of the main terminal. Standing near an elegant refreshment bar was the woman from earlier, the boy's mother. But the transformation was striking. Gone was the disheveled, panicked parent. In her place stood someone who commanded attention, perfectly composed, dressed in what was clearly an expensive business suit, her earlier tears replaced by an aura of quiet authority. "You must think I completely lost my mind back there," she said, walking over with an extended hand and a self-deprecating smile. "Not at all," Anna replied, accepting the handshake. "I can't imagine how terrifying that must have been." "I'm Sophia Langford," the woman said, CEO of Skylink Air. Anna felt her eyebrows rise involuntarily. "The airline? This airline?" Sophia nodded. "My son Jamie and I were traveling together today. I had to take an urgent call from our board of directors, something that couldn't wait. I told him to stay right beside me, but you know how curious 5-year-olds can be. He saw something interesting and wandered off. When I finished my call and turned around," her voice caught slightly, "the worst 2 minutes of my life." Anna settled into one of the plush chairs Sophia gestured toward. "I'm just glad he's safe. Is he okay now?" "He's perfect. He's with my assistant right now, probably getting spoiled with snacks and iPad games." Sophia sat across from her. "But I want to talk about what you did back there." "I didn't really do anything special." Sophia leaned forward. "That's where you're wrong. Do you know how many people walked past my crying son? How many looked right at him and kept going because they didn't want to get involved?" Anna remained quiet. "You didn't just notice him, you stayed. You sat on that dirty airport floor and made sure he wasn't alone during the scariest moment of his young life. You could have been accused of kidnapping. You could have missed your flight. You could have simply called security and walked away. But you stayed." Sophia reached into her designer handbag and withdrew an elegant gold envelope. "This is a lifetime standby pass. First-class priority boarding on any Skylink flight, anywhere we operate. For you and a guest. No expiration date." Anna stared at the envelope. "Miss Langford, that's incredibly generous. But I didn't do what I did for a reward. I did it because it was the right thing to do." Sophia smiled. "I know. That's exactly why you deserve it." Anna spent her flight to Denver in first class, sipping actual champagne while watching clouds drift past her window. The experience felt surreal 12 hours earlier. She'd been worried about making rent, and now she held a lifetime pass worth more than her annual salary. But as the initial shock wore off, she realized something important. She wasn't special. She wasn't wealthy or famous or powerful. She hadn't performed some heroic feat or displayed extraordinary courage. She had simply seen a child who needed help and chosen to provide it. In a world where everyone seems too busy, too afraid, or too self-absorbed to get involved, she had stayed. She had cared. And someone had noticed. Someone who happened to own an airline. True kindness rarely makes headlines. It doesn't go viral or generate likes. Most acts of genuine compassion happen quietly, witnessed by few, remembered by fewer still. But sometimes, just sometimes, kindness finds its way to exactly the right person at exactly the right moment. And the world becomes a little bit better because someone chose to care.